Hi there, I hope that you're doing well. I am finally getting around to filming the journal update video. If you watch the weekly videos, you will know that I've been talking about wanting to do this for like 3 or 4 weeks now, and I got really caught up with exams at first, and then last week I accidentally ended up changing my system. It's not, well, maybe it is a major change, but like I changed book, the system is still the same, is what I mean. But I'll talk more about it more in depth in a second. I'll try to keep it relatively brief, aka the video will hopefully be like 40 minutes long and not an hour and a half long. Also because it is like 33 degrees and to film this I've had to close the window and stuff, so I am boiling, but I really want to do this before we get to like August or September and I still haven't filmed this. So for context, the system that I was using before, which I made a video about in February, at the time I'd only been using that for like a month or so, and some things did end up changing, but they were not like major changes. The system I was using before was 2 notebooks in the Traveler's Notebook cover. So Traveler's Notebook weekly plus memo insert as my planner, like my weekly planner. Plus, I think at the time I was using just a blank paper notebook as my commonplace book, and then a couple of months back I switched to a grid paper notebook, which has been a lot nicer. Like things are a lot neater now, which I really like. I think back then what I wasn't doing in my weekly spreads was keeping a separate column in the left-hand page for university things. I just stick my green sticker dot, that's the color that I use to categorize university related things. I just took one here and then I write down a list of the notes that I want to sort out that week, like the lecture notes I want to go through, anything that I want to study, all of that I write down in here. Other than that, I have still been using the same system with my running to-do list on the right hand side. So I just have like a column for each day of the week, and then all of the tasks I want to do split up in art, YouTube, anything related to that, university things, personal things, and then my mood tracker. And then down here I can just add whatever else comes up in the week that isn't day specific. If anything is specific to a particular day, I will put it on this side in the corresponding day. And then at the bottom I normally keep a running film list for the weekly video. This is more like a general list of ideas. I don't necessarily always go through with it, and it's not very strict, like I don't plan those videos beforehand, but if there's something that I know I want to do and I want to remember to film it, then I write it down there. And then the stickers that I use are mostly from 2 different shops, which I'll leave in the text bar because I cannot pronounce one of them. The other one are these ones, like the Gloomies, and like this one as well, Scribble. These are from Petite Gloom. So there's that. These are digital downloads, so I just print them on sticker paper and then cut them out. And the other ones are from my Etsy shop, and I just buy these ones. They're just like pre-cut sticker sheets. I really like them, but it's a German shop and I cannot pronounce that for the life of me. So I'll not try to do that. And then what I did for a while, I think I only didn't do that for like the last 2 weeks that I was in here because, again, I've just been really busy, was every weekend or like every 2 weekends, when I'm at my parents' place where I have a printer, I'll print out pictures from the week and just stick them down. I normally end up having a bit of a gap at the bottom. I don't usually fill the whole thing. If I do, I just stick them with a bit of tape on the inside so they kind of fold over. And it's nice to like flip through them and remember things. Like this was my birthday week. Here I just had a quote printed out. And I really like them, these as well. Like we went on holiday, I was working on some paintings. I think it's really nice when I'm flipping back through it to actually see like visually what was going on at the time, because I think if you just flip through very plain pages with the same setup and like, yeah, okay, maybe the stickers change, but it's not really that big of a change, it's really difficult to like differentiate the weeks. So that's quite nice. I also did a bit of journaling about it on here. They're very short entries, but I think flipping back through them, even just now, like I have very poor memory. I cannot remember what went on like 5 days ago. So this is really, really helpful, and I think it'll be nice to like refer back to. So that's the major change from like the beginning of the book. I really just added a column. Everything else I think is still pretty much the same. And I was really happy with this system. Like everything was working really well. The issue was not with this book. So I was meant to be in this book for like 2 more weeks, I think, or 3, and then move on to the second half. Well, okay, there is one issue with these books. Honestly, I hate the color. I'm not a big fan of like light blue and blue in general. But they're okay. I stuck. Oh, these are Van Gogh painting stickers that I got from a museum in Hull. That was, I don't know, I found it and they're really cool, and I stick them in front, like on the cover of all of my books. I do really like the setup though, and like the color, it's not a big deal. The issue was with my commonplace. So something that I started doing, this is my current commonplace, this is my previous one, and I'll give you like a full flip through of everything. Something that I started doing in this commonplace was set up calendars. So when I first moved into this commonplace, I hadn't started my exam season yet, and we were just getting information about what all of the exams were going to be like, and it was very all over the place, and no one was understanding anything because our professors were all over the place. And so I just needed like a spread to get it all out and figure out when I was going to take which exams, because we have like multiple available dates for us to like choose when to take them, and to keep track of like which exams I'd taken and which I hadn't, which not up to date. This one I finished. Yeah, the others I haven't. I'm taking this one next week. And like what each exam was going to be like. So I set up a calendar, and this was very, very helpful. And then when I moved into the new commonplace, I think 2 months later, no, just kidding, 1 month later. So this is from April 5th to May 5th. When I moved into the new commonplace a month later, I set the same spread up again. I didn't need all of the exam info again because I just remember it by now, but I set up like basically the same spread again, which is fine, it's okay. I'm happy to do that if I move books. And then a while later in the book, for May, which I knew was going to be a really, really busy month, just because exams were starting and we were still having lectures, and we're not meant to have lectures while we have exams, and they're all like prelims, and it's, I don't know, it's a whole thing. This semester in terms of exams was really like, don't want to talk about it, and it's still going. I've still got a month left, a month and a half really, so that's fun. So I just set up a calendar inspired by the Hobonichi Weeks calendar layout, which is this one, which I really, really like. I've seen it online, I've seen people use it, I really, really like it. So I set up a similar calendar in my commonplace book because the Traveler's Notebook Weekly does have a calendar spreads at the beginning, but it's this kind of vertical spread, and I really don't like it. I used it for a while at the beginning of the year, but it's like there's not enough space for me to write anything, and it's not visual enough. I think this is really nice, and then I was just writing down very, very short entries about, like, we had a picnic with friends, and so I wrote about that, and it's like another mean of like memory keeping, if it makes sense. And I really liked it. And then I have my tracker at the side, so I just have no social morning, so that's like trying not to go on my phone first thing in the morning. I was quite consistent with that last month. I've not been lately, like my sleeping schedule and that has not been good lately, but we won't talk about that. I'm trying to fix it. Art making, I was not very consistent with that. Very busy month. I have been better at that this month. And then drink 2 liters of water, which is even more important now that it's getting really hot. So that's that. This worked really, really well. What happened though is then a while later I also decided to set up some other trackers. So I decided to set up a painting tracker to keep track of where I'm at with different pieces. And so I just have a list of the paintings on the side, and then in terms of like stages, I suppose. I put down idea, sketch, underpainting, painting layer, details, and then I have done or like abandoned / on hold, which I have now in the new painting tracker that I have. On hold, I've just removed it. If I'm not working on it anymore, I can just like cross it off or something. And then a while later, again, I set up another tracker, which is a health tracker on one side. So I'm just keeping track of like back pains, migraines, headaches, all of that. And then like a skin tracker on the back. I've always had skin issues, so I kind of want to keep track of that and see if anything is peaking at certain times of the month and stuff like that. And that's been really helpful. So the issue then was when I moved out of this book, these trackers go from the 16th of May, which is when I set them up, to the 15th of June. And I moved out of this book around the 5th of June. So then I was still using this tracker for another like 10 days. And then I started using my new commonplace where I set up all of my calendars. So I have my exam season calendar, my June calendar, and my trackers at the very beginning of the book, so they're nice and easy to find. And then I was meant to start using this like on the 16th of June, which is like last week. I haven't, just because I've not kept up with it, because I've not like had the mental capacity to also do that. But my issue was that like when I got to the 16th of June, I was already like halfway through the book. And I got to halfway through the book in like 10 days of using it. And so I was like, okay, if in another 10 days I'm completely done with the book, I'll again only be here with the tracker and still need to use it in this book for like 20 days, and I'm already in another commonplace. And I'll also have to move my June calendar over again, because I'll still be in June and I'll still need this. And it was kind of getting a whole thing, and I thought, okay, well, if I'm not, like, maybe I just had a really intense week where I journaled a lot. I had a great weekend where I was resting and I was home alone, and I just, like, my brain switched on and I had a lot to think about and a lot to write about, because this is how I process things and like how I think about things. I was like, okay, well then maybe I'm starting to like study and get back into things like in 2 days. If it's very likely that this doesn't keep up, that I don't keep up like journaling at this rate, and I've not been. I've done very little journaling this week, to be honest. I did like 3 spreads. But then the issue is that even in that case, the months are never going to align entirely with the time that I spent in a commonplace. And I'm still always going to have that same issue of not having the right calendar in the right book, and always like just have to refer back to things, and it would always just continue to be an issue. So what I started thinking is, okay, what if I get a Hobonichi Weeks instead of my Traveler's Notebook planner? What I really like about the Hobonichi Weeks is the fact that it essentially has the same layout as the Traveler's Notebook Weekly Plus Memo in terms of like the weekly layout. So the pages are very similar. The book is a lot smaller, which I knew, but I also kind of didn't. Like I really just realized it a couple of days before buying it. It's a good bit smaller, and also the Traveler's Notebook insert doesn't have margins. The Hobonichi Weeks does have margins, so writing space is a lot smaller as well. But the grid is also a lot smaller, so I think you pretty much end up having like the same amount of like rows and columns in the grid. So what I liked was that because the weekly spreads are so similar, I wouldn't really have to change my planning style anyways. So this is this current week that I've been testing out in the book, and it's been going really, really well. I like it. I write a bit smaller, but it's not a big issue. I like the only thing that I've changed is that instead of sticking the green sticker here, I just stick it at the top. I don't know why I never thought of that, but it's a lot more practical. And then I still have my running to-do list, day-specific tasks on the side, and then my filming to-do list, like my to-film list. And it's been working really well. Now, the nice thing about this book, and the reason why I wanted to move in here, is that it already has this kind of calendar set up at the beginning of the book. And ideally what I would do in here is the same thing that I was doing in my commonplace, just use them the same way and like decorate them the same way, writing them and keep up with that. I haven't, because I've just been really busy. I might go back and backfill it like maybe this weekend or like on Monday night once I've taken my exam. We'll see. I've also moved my tracker over on the side. I like that there's space for me to do that. And the Traveler's Notebook Company does have a specific monthly planner insert with this kind of layout, but it's like, it's a bit weird. It's moved to the other side and then it doesn't have the space. I'm not sure if it has space at the bottom, but it definitely doesn't have space at the side for me to put my tracker, and I just didn't like it aesthetically. I'm not sure whether they have like a dated version or whether they only have the like blank plain version or not, but that's the only one that I could find, and I didn't want to have to like write down the days every time. I don't like the mix of that. Like if I'm setting up my own calendar, I'm fine with writing down the numbers because it all looks very coherent. But then if it's already pre-set up and then I go in and write down the numbers, that gives me the ick. I don't know if it makes sense. I hope it does. So it would be really, I thought, okay, it would be really nice to move to the Hobonichi weeks, because then I would already have these calendar setups, which I would always have in my book anyways, because this is not a book that I change all of the time. Like I just change it once a year. And then I still have the same weekly spreads, which is great. Don't have to change my planning system. And then also, the Hobonichi weeks, so this is the regular, this is not the mega. The regular has, I think, like 70 or something graph pages at the back. I think the mega has like 250 or something. And the nice thing about it is that I can use this space to transfer over any information from completed commonplace books that I still need to refer to. So the thing is, because I do a lot of thinking in these books, there's a lot of like, other than university planning and like study plans and trackers, and like this was my revision tracker for my English exam last month, there's like a lot of commonplace things like actual copied text type things, but then there's also a lot of painting ideas, and there's just a lot of ideas in general that I want to keep working on, and that it's not necessarily just something that I write down and then it's like, okay, done. It's something that I write down so I can then keep revisiting and keep going back to. And so the issue is that I always have like 2 or 3 commonplace books around because I keep referring back to things. So if I can just write down like a concise version of the entries that I still refer to, which are not a lot. There's maybe like 5 or 6 entries in a book that I still refer to, because the rest are like, you know, this was a spread about my birthday. That it's more like memory keeping, I suppose. This I was out with a friend. We went to the botanical garden. Like it's nice to remember that kind of thing, but that's more memory keeping. When it comes to like ideas and things and thoughts that I want to revisit and keep thinking about, that I go through a lot again, and I think it would be nice if I could just move that to these pages at the back, in a concise version, like a list version, bullet points, something like that. I'm fine with it, so I can have it with me all of the time, and I can just very simply archive the commonplace once it's done. Like I can still flip through it, but I don't have to have like 3 or 4 books out on my desk all of the time, which is what's been happening lately, which is not very practical. And then, so yeah, that's the idea, and that's where I'm behind. So that's what I still haven't done. Basically, I am slowly gonna work my way through the finished commonplaces that I have and that I want to move things over from. But I've had a very intense week of studying for my anatomy exam on Monday. The only thing that I have set up is my index key with the sticker dots, which I get from a different Etsy shop that I cannot remember the name of, but I'll look it up and put it in the text bar as well. I'll try to also remember to link all of the shops that I mentioned in the description, so you can check them out. And then I set up an actual index, which I thought would be useful. So I left different amounts of spaces for different categories, because I think what's going to be prevalent in here are like art ideas entries. So the index key that I use, to give you some context, is orange for art ideas, inspiration, brainstorming, painting things, all of that. Green for university planning, white for personal entries or like journal entries, just general thinking. It's a lot of brain dumps. This light beige, like pink beige type of color, is for work notes, so anything related to YouTube, the shop, all of that. And then the darker one is for collected information, so that's like proper commonplace. So I've left like a page worth of like space for art ideas, a bit like less than that for university planning, half a page for personal notes and collected text, and then a page for work notes. I'm probably never going to fill the whole thing, like there's only going to be like 4 or 5 lines for each, I think. But yeah, basically I just think that just thinking about what I refer to and what I would want to move over, majority of what I need to move over are like work things or art ideas, and the rest I don't really need to move a lot of things over, but I still want to have that. And I've never really used an index system before, so hopefully this is going to work, but I thought it would be helpful since this is going to be like a reference section in the book, if it makes sense. And so the only thing that I've set up so far, other than the index, is my painting tracker. So the one that I already had in the other 2 books, I've just set up in here so I can stop moving it from commonplace to commonplace, because it's like, I don't know, it was getting a bit repetitive and a bit useless. So that's what I've been using at the moment. It's been going well. I've only had like a week in the Hobonichi weeks, but I'm having a good time. What I wanted to do that I've talked about for a while, like mentioning this video as well, was give you like a full flip through of the commonplace, because I show it a lot in videos, but I don't necessarily talk a lot about the entries. So at the beginning of the commonplace, every commonplace, I just have my sticker dot like key, same one that I used, that I just showed you in the Hobonichi weeks. This was like general brain dump. I was thinking about archiving all journals or notebooks, which I actually did. This was around the Easter holidays. That was like my one task for the holidays, and I did. It took a whole day to go through all of them, but I did it. Majority of them were not dated, so that was fun to like try and figure things out. But I have them sorted out now, and they're not all over the place anymore, which was very satisfying. Exam season calendar, as I mentioned before. This was like a planner, like a revision plan, I suppose, for an exam that I took in April. I got new prints made, so I took some photos. I took some photos for like the listings on my Etsy shop, and I printed some out, and I did a bit of journaling about that. I was using a new print shop to print them, so I just did a bit of journaling about that, like what the experience was like and all of that. This is a painting that I was working on. I had the idea for it from a sketch that I did in Procreate, just playing around with colors, and I really liked it. And so then I went ahead and actually started painting it. This is not a finished piece, but I often do this kind of thing where then once I'm halfway through painting, I will do some journaling about it to like collect my ideas and like regroup and brainstorm and try to figure out where I want to go from there. I actually really like the layout and the colors of this spread. This is a photo that I asked from a girl called Emily. She's a photographer. She's really, really lovely. I love this photo of hers, and I wanted to paint it, and I asked her for permission to do that, and she gave it to me, and I still haven't gotten around to do it, which I'm really sad about. But I had a really nice sketch based off of that I did in Procreate, and so again, same thing, where I was just writing down ideas. This was related to like some video ideas and things that I wanted to like experiment with within videos. A poem that I found on Pinterest and liked. Sorry for the motorcycle outside if you could hear that. An emoji sticker from one of these zipper pouches that I bought. I just keep these, I just buy them from Muji and use them to keep stickers in, and they're very helpful. So stuck that down. Another, like, this was very much of a brain dump. I do this a lot where it's like personal entries where I just, it's like stream of consciousness writing, and I find it very helpful, very therapeutic. Some layout ideas. I think I wanted to make either notebooks or like little sketchbooks or a zine or something like that, and I had some ideas, and so I just put them down. I actually really like these drawings. I think it'd be cool to use them at some point. Another similar thing, here I was talking about some exams, I think. Not really sure what was going on, but there's that. This is not really related to anything. I just had it laying around and thought it looked good, so I stuck it in. More painting ideas. This was a list of songs that I would eventually like to paint. What I do a lot for paintings is I take inspiration from music, and often when I'm working on a specific painting, I'll listen to like the same song or the same album or like music from one specific artist over and over again, or like a specific playlist, and I have a list of like a running list of songs that I would eventually like to paint, and so I was journaling about that. Oh, this is for, a drawing from a really lovely tattoo artist that I follow on Instagram. Again, I'll leave her links below. I would really like to eventually get something like this done, but I think she lives maybe, I'm not really sure where she's from, but she's like quite far away from me, so that's gonna be interesting to figure out, but I would really like to get something like this done eventually. Here was a series of spreads about a holiday that we went on. I went to France for like 3 days with my parents, and so I printed out a bunch of pictures, used stickers to write down the names of the places that we visited. Tickets are always a really nice thing to stick in, and I just wrote about the trip and things that we saw and stuff like that, and it was really nice. I really like this map. It's kind of gotten stuck, but I really like the map, so I folded it and stuck it in and covered the front because I didn't like the front of the cover. So I just covered it with like other bits of paper that we were given for different things. This is some commonplace things that just like text that I found, quotes, things like that. I find a lot of these on like either Tumblr or Pinterest, or like just online. Maybe someone mentions an article or like a blog post or something that they've read that I think is interesting, and so I'll like it and copy part of that down. These were some notes about the setup that I wanted to do for May. So I knew that May was going to be a really busy month, and so I wanted to have the calendar spread that I showed you earlier, and so I did like a mini layout plan, I suppose, and I was talking about what I wanted to include in it. Another revision plan for my animal anatomy exam that I took last month. Last month. This is one of my favorite teas. It's also from Muji, chamomile, thyme and peppermint. Really good, would highly recommend. A calendar spread. Another brain dump. I'm not really sure what I was talking about in here. Like, these are always, I think brain dumps often are not things that I look back at a lot. For the most part, it's just something that I need to get out at the moment to like think through things and figure out what my next step is going to be, or just get things off my mind, and so these are very helpful. This was a massive plan for stuff that I had to do for uni, like remembering to like sign up for exams and notes that I needed to sort out, and like just information that we were given that I needed to keep track of somewhere, put it here. I do these quite regularly and I find them very helpful, and then I went back in like 2 weeks later, crossed off things that I'd already done and highlighted things that I needed to do, so that was nice. A friend of mine came to visit for a weekend and we went to the botanical garden, took some really cute pictures, so I printed them out. This was a Tumblr post. Some notes on commonplacing. I felt like all of my commonplace spreads were looking the same, and so I wanted to like change things up a bit, and so I wanted to like start including like boxes with like to-do list as a sum up for certain entries and stuff like that. I've not really been doing that too much. Something that I have started doing is for commonplace entries, I keep like a larger margin on the side. I don't really know why, but I've been doing that. This is a commonplace entry. Oh, these are notes on commonplaces. This was an article that I found that I really liked, and I copied down a lot of that. That's like 5 pages. That took a while. Some notes on wanting to set up a painting tracker, and then the painting tracker itself. This was a spread about my birthday. I turned 21 this year. These gloomies card are from Petite Gloom as well. I always have some at the back of my books. The nice thing about the Hobonichi Weeks as well is that it has this kind of like pocket at the back, so I now keep the ones that I want/need at the back here. They're like nice little companions, and they're good reminders, and I really like them. A painting that I was working on, I really like this piece, so I just printed it like a bit larger so I could take a whole page. Another journal entry, which like another commonplace entry I meant, which funnily enough I then also printed out again because I found it again in the form of a Tumblr post, and I stuck it in my new commonplace book, and I only realized like last week. So there's that. This is about growth. I've been thinking a lot about growth lately, and so I think it's nice that I put it down again in my new commonplace because it relates to the period that I'm going through a lot at the minute. Brain dump after an odd week. Oh, something that I started doing is like titling entries. I don't always do it, but I think it's nice for like referring back to things. The tracker that I set it up as like a Dutch door because I didn't really need a full spread. I really like these. I think they add a lot of character to a book, and I think they're nice to look at. Notes that we made some notes on a tissue paper once when we were having coffee. It's like an inside joke with friends. This is a poem called Why I'm Not a Painter by Frank O'Hara, can't talk. This is really good, and I really liked it. I think I found it on Pinterest, so I wanted to have it. And then some other poems, thoughts on poetry. This is an excerpt from an interview, and then The Patience of Ordinary Things by Pat Schneider. This is also a really, really good poem. Sometimes I collect commonplace entries, especially if it's like a lot of really short entries. Sometimes I collect them all in like a folder on my phone or something, and then I copy them down all together. Receipt from Tiger, my English exam revision plan, more receipts. I went out for pizza with some friends. Something that I do a lot is write down song lyrics as well. I don't talk a lot about music, but music is something that I think is very, very important to me, and it has been for a lot of years, and it's a very private thing though, I think. It's very interesting because me and my best friend, which is also my housemate, we have a very different way of listening to music, and it's interesting to think about that. So I write down lyrics from songs every once in a while, and I kind of go through them and like, I don't know, again, it helps me process things better. So this was Iris by Goo Goo Dolls. Needless to say, one of the best songs of all times, to be honest. And I think I was thinking about also like using this as a starting point for a painting. I haven't yet, but I was thinking about it. I also had some pictures of irises that I took at the botanical garden that I stuck down, some sketches, and just more ideas. And then another university plan page type thing. I need to update this actually. I made ramen for the first time and it turned out great, so I made an entry about that. And coincidentally, I found like a ramen knowledge little poster on Pinterest on the same week, and I really liked it, so I stuck it down as well. Here I was also writing down about finishing lectures and how relieved I was for that, and like just an update on how exams had been going and stuff. Oh, here I found out, I don't know why I didn't know that before, but I found out that Youngblood and Halsey did a cover of I Will Follow You Into the Dark by Death Cab for Cutie. The heat is getting to my head, I'm sorry about that. And so again, I copied down the lyrics from the song. I've known the song for a long time, but I didn't know that they had done a cover of it, and I think I don't really listen to Halsey's music. I listen to a bit of Youngblood's music. I really like it. Not all of it, but there's some songs that I really, really like, and I really like his voice. And I think the cover is flawless. And then this is part of an interview that the writer did where like he's talking about the song itself. This is when I got to 10k on the channel. So I stuck down Petite's Glooms, like 50k gloomy that she did from when she reached 50k, like 2 months ago, I think, maybe a bit longer than that. And just a screenshot of the 10k on my channel. That was very satisfying. I wrote about that a bit. Another revision plan, there's a lot of that at the moment. And then more painting ideas. A little sketch, this is a picture that I took that I liked, printed out. Just elements that I would like to draw more and include in paintings. I often do like a bullet pointed list. And then that's the end of the commonplace. I had a very small entry at the back to like sum up some thoughts that I had about the book, and that's it. I really like that it's chunked up quite a bit. I think it's very satisfying. And then I moved into the new book, and I actually realized like a minute ago that I wrote down the wrong month. In here I wrote down 5th of April to the 5th of May. It's actually the 5th of June. And then I moved in here in June. So there's that. Anyways, same thing, sticker key. A picture that a friend took of me a couple of weeks ago that I really like. It was a really lovely moment, and like we were out for drinks after an exam, and we were all having fun, and it's I really like it, and so stuck that down. Again, exam season calendar, June calendar, more reminders for things. I think I have done all of that. It was just like I had to sign up for exams, and we can only do that on like specific day ranges, I suppose. So before I forgot, I'll write it down. Painting tracker, health and skin tracker, which I've not used. I need to catch up with that. This is an entry on some art. I really like this artist's pieces. I've been following them for 4 or 5 years now, maybe. I don't know how to pronounce it. I would say Litanas, but again, I'll leave links below and like in the text bar and stuff. I really like their pieces. They always hit really hard, and I have some printed out that I'm going to eventually journal about. They always do like series, so this was a series of 3, so I stuck down all 3 pieces and journaled about that. This was an entry about buying oil pastels, and so I stuck down the test paper for those as well. It did smudge over to the other side a bit, but I don't really mind. This, and then a few pages later, this bit, were about rewatching Tokyo Ghoul. Just randomly started doing that again. An entry about a painting that I was doing. Same thing, like I was halfway through the piece. I'd done some like color tests on Procreate and stuff like that to figure out where I wanted to head next, and I was journaling about that a bit. Another brain dump again. I mentioned something about this, I think in my last weekly video, but I was just talking about reconnecting to things that I used to like back in the day and that I kind of got away from. Tokyo Ghoul being one of them, but there's a lot of other things that I've been like thinking about. Kind of goes back to the theme of growth that I was mentioning earlier, and so I did a couple of spreads about that. This is kind of funny because I had like 3 days where I wasn't doing anything, and those are the days that I got really inspired again, and I filled up like half of the book, and I was thinking about how I really wanted to like work on a project again, like do something like a zine or a painting series or some kind of project like that again, because I had a bit more time on my hands again, and now I don't anymore, and it's like a week after because I'm back to studying full time. But I just had some ideas, and I've been having a lot more of those. There's a lot of entries related to this, and it's still something that I would like to work on, just very likely in a different timeline. Like it's something that's probably going to take me all summer, but I would really like to do something like that. I had a lot of fun making zines last summer, and I would like to do something a bit more thought out and a bit more like curated, I guess. But we'll see where that goes. Got takeaway, some thoughts about music, about a band. They have like a small documentary type series thing that I wrote some things, like copied some things from. some lyrics from their songs and like the album cover. This is where I was trying to work out whether I wanted to move to the Hobonichi weeks, and I was kind of weighing pros and cons and writing about that. More ideas for said project. There's more here as well, and like these are sketches that I did kind of related to that. More ideas for that. I found out about emotion lifts for Polaroids. Really want to do that. I found a friend that's gonna like lend me her Polaroid, because you can't do that with Instax. I have an Instax, but I can't do that with it. And more ideas for the project. There's been a lot of that. I got new shoes last week, so I put a picture of that. I've been waiting for these for like 3 or 4 months, so I was very excited about that. And then a Tumblr post about diaries and journals, which I really liked, and so I printed out and stuck down as well. More thoughts about the band and the music that I was talking about earlier, and then a little poem that I found yesterday and wrote down about, and that's it for this book. I still have about half the thing, like I'm a bit over halfway through. I've been having a good time. I got through the first half very slowly. I'm slowing down a bit very quickly. I'm slowing down a bit at the moment, but it's been good. They're always very helpful, these books, and it's how I process things, so I love it. Also, I figured out a way to like keep the system very compact. So I've not really had a problem with the Hobonichi weeks like just slipping out of the book if I keep it closed and just keep it in my bag. But it can happen, like if I shake it, it is gonna come out of the bottom. So what I've just figured out what I can do is I can slide the front cover in the front part of like the zipper pouch insert and close it, and that way it doesn't move anywhere, and that's a lot nicer. So that's how I've been using it. It's been good. I'm excited to get a bit more comfortable with the weeks. I'm still not entirely at home in it, but I really like the spread for this week, and it's been a good time planning in it. It's always exciting to change books, but also this was maybe not the best time for me to do that, because I just have a lot on my plate with studying, but I couldn't, like, it would have been worse if I hadn't changed, because then I would have just kept thinking about the fact that the like planner system was no longer working and I didn't know what to do about it. So I'm happy I did. It's just going to take a bit of time to adjust. So with that being said, the video is probably an hour long already. I hope you had something to drink as you were watching this. I hope you had a good time hearing about my entries and the mess of a system that I have, that I'm constantly trying to better and like make more helpful based on what I'm going through at the moment. I hope it was inspiring to you. I hope you're having a good day, and I will see you very soon with a new weekly video. Have a nice week.